It was the first song on the lips of millions as the final whistle blew on the Euros, and the one the victorious Lionesses belted out as they invaded their coach Sarina Wiegman's press conference and danced on top of her table. Frank Skinner, who penned football's most famous song with David Baddiel and the Lightning Seeds 26 years ago, is just as thrilled their song is being sung across the nation again, as 56 years of hurt finally came to an end. "And I quite like it an octave higher," he smiles. "It's brilliant. I've always said anyone bringing it home would make me really happy, whether it's the men or the women." The comedian adds, "The women were fantastic, it's been cracking football. Watching it, I really thought, this is just about loving football, I couldn't care less about their gender, it was just a brilliant performance." But Frank was less happy at the way his 10-year-old son Buzz found out he was behind the rousing anthem. When an over-enthusiastic cabbie scuppered his plans to tell him himself. "Has always known him a comic, but the Three Lions thing I thought he'd tell him about when he was a bit older," he explains. "I was going to wait for a special moment to say it to him for the first time. I imagined telling him in my rocking chair, playing this old football song. Then we were in a minicab and the driver said, 'Hey, I've got your dad's song on tape,' and he put it on, and he didn't know what was going on." The unexpected revelation did send his dad soaring in Buzz's estimations. "I've been at an England game with him when the crowds have all been singing it, and Hess waving his flag and singing," says Frank. "Every dad wants to occasionally be their son's hero, and that was amazing. He thinks I'm much more famous than I really am. But then I've been on the bus with him and has been singing the song, and people look at me like, you've taken this child and forced those words into him." Which is not true. Frank, 65, says there are benefits of being an older father. He says, "It's all worked out pretty well. People say, have you found you've had to really grow up since you became a parent? And I say, well, I spent the morning pretending to be a crocodile playing a guitar, so no. More comedians should try it. It's like endlessly having to come up with entertaining talk." Buzz, Frank's child with longtime partner Kath Mason, also appears to have inherited his dad's funny bone. "He does prop jokes," says Frank. "Recently he told me there was a leak in the toilet, so I went in there and he'd put an actual leak, the vegetable, in there." While he's proud of his son's humor, he reveals two things that disappoint him. Frank, a lifelong West Brom fan, says, Hess into his Tottenham Hotspur, which is a constant source of tension in the house. "This is what happens if you move to London, so I know I've brought it on myself." That also means he has not got his dad's Brummie accent. There are words he says with a northern A, and I think he gets teased about that at school. But on one occasion I said to him, "Nanny Sandra is coming this weekend," and he said, "I think you mean Nanny Sandra." I had to sit in a room on my own, clutching an A to Z of Birmingham, rocking backwards and forwards. Born in West Bromwich, Frank, real name Christopher Graham Collins, grew up in a council house with 3 older siblings. He worked as an English lecturer at Hales Owen College until giving stand-up comedy a go. In 1987 he spent £400 of his last £435 booking a room at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, then 4 years later returned to win the Perrier Award, comedy's most prestigious prize. It turned him into one on TV's biggest stars, with his own chat show, which ran for 10 years on BBC One then ITV, and sitcoms. His most recent TV stint, as the host of BBC show Room 101, ended after 6 years in 2018. Frank, who has a Saturday show on Absolute Radio, was preparing to return to the Edinburgh Fringe this year for a month-long residency. But sadly yesterday the run was cancelled. A statement read, "Due to a family health issue, Frank Skinner is unable to travel for the foreseeable future. This will disappoint his fans, and no doubt the comic himself, for whom the Scottish capital is special for other reasons. There's a place, Advocates Close, off the Royal Mile, where my son was conceived," he says. Do you enjoy reading about celebrities? Sign up for all the best celeb news from the Mirror here. I've photographed him standing in front of the sign. I can only explain it in vague terms, like, this is where the first part of you happened. I do think conception venues aren't celebrated enough, birthdays are so boring. The silver lining of getting old, though, is more funny material. Some of the stuff you know is going to happen, he says. I did a gig with Jack Whitehall and it done my back in. So he told me some really exciting anecdote about getting drunk and falling off a wall and hurting his back, and then he said, "What happened to you?" And I said, "Nothing. You get to an age when injuries don't come with an anecdote, they just come. I've found I can't bite into an apple without pressing down onto the top of my head. I don't have the jaw strength to do it unassisted. So it all becomes potential comedy material." Of all the highlights of the last 3 decades, it's clear It's Coming Home is one of his proudest. No doubt the anthem will get another resurgence during the Men's World Cup in Qatar later in the year. But despite its popularity, and being one of 3 songs to top the UK charts more than once, he says it won't be what pays bills in retirement. He says, "I'd be surprised if it made 6 figures. 3 Lions has been one of the least financially profitable things I've done. But obviously the joy of it has been incalculable." Do you have a story to sell? Get in touch with us at webcelebs@mirror.co.uk or call us direct 0207 29 33 033.